happy Sunday. I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Today we are talking about the Norse god Tyr and the law. One of the things we know this god for is that he would preside over the law and specifically the taking of oaths. When the Romans came onto the scene, they would refer to Tyr as Mars because that's who they equated him with in their pantheon. But interestingly, they sometimes described him and referred to him as Mars Thinksus. Now, Thingsis, of course, is in reference to the Thing, which was an assembly of the people, during which there was an airing of the controversies of the day. They would select their leaders at this time, and sometimes it would even function as a court. Now, of course, in order for that to operate properly, you needed to have clearly defined and widely understood laws, and people taking oaths seriously. It was just all necessary, just as today. If we don't have those things within our system of governments, everything just tends to fall apart. Now, because Tyr was believed to take a particular interest in the Thing, we can conclude that he was a god of war by necessity, when that necessity arose, but primarily he was concerned with being a god that upheld important institutions in society that helped people keep glued together. And I can't help but contrast that with the prevailing norms of our day and the norms of ancient pagans. How many of us are so naive as to imagine that the people in power bother to tell the truth about anything, or take their oaths seriously, or are involved in actions that actually benefit the country? I suspect the number of those sweet, innocent souls tends to dwindle by the day. So, ancient peoples, however, they tended to have a defined sense of honor and an expectation that people would live up to it. And they would also have an appreciation for its general importance. And of course, the Norse were no different. They understood that there needs to be some kind of commonly held code that enabled people to get along with each other. Now, we experience the consequences of living in a society that has thrown the concept of honor just out the window, and we see what that looks like on a daily basis. Not only is there very little trust between people, but there's also no reason for that trust to exist, which is even more destructive than the lack of trust itself. It's completely unsustainable, and of course, the Norse people would say that, your situation was in that. Your society is not going to last that long. They understood that there was a need for higher standards. And of course, Tyr has a great deal to teach about honor and standards and what justifies the existence of a law in and of itself. In Norse society, I've been doing a lot of reading, but if a leader was to impose laws that, by the very nature of those laws, was detrimental to the people, it did not stand, and usually neither did the leader. When those who govern harm the governed, it creates instability, and this is a natural process, and it's a right process. If you are requiring people to live in a manner that is actively harming them, that is detrimental to their interest and makes their ongoing survival and well-being less likely, well, how can you claim to have any right to their cooperation whatsoever? I don't care what system of governments you have. But if you have a concept of honor and a cultural shared sense of, general rights and wrongs. I'm not talking about complicated systems and institutions, but I'm just talking about, a general consensus. You don't go around killing your neighbors because they looked at you funny. You don't steal their stuff just because you thought you could get away with. When there are standards, that really helps keep those who are doing the governing in a little bit of check, because they know that the expectations that people have of each other amongst themselves are also applied to them, and that there are consequences if they fall short. No matter how powerful a person or an institution is, all power has its limits, and when you attempt to break those limits, it brings nothing but evil for all concerned. The god Tyr understood that, as can be seen in mythology, and that's why we have his story that comes up over and over again about him sacrificing his arm when the time came to do so. When the powerful get out of line, a price has to be paid, and if they refuse to do so, it destroys their legitimacy. The action Tyr took was in an effort to maintain the legitimacy of the Aesir. So that's a lot of food for thought, a lot to digest there. I would love to hear about your own impressions. You could let me know in the comment section below. If I get notified about it, I do check in. I will absolutely respond to you, but BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, sometimes they don't always do a very good job of letting me know when people are trying to communicate with me here on the channel. But I will absolutely see you on Discord at Blackbird's Brew. There is a link to join in the description box below. I would love to have you. We have a great group there, and maybe you'll decide to join us. But that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!